Back to this exciting lesson. Now, you need to really pay attention because we are going to have a quiz at the end of this when I go through this lesson. And because it's so exciting that, my gosh, if there were ever a reason to continue living, it's about learning about how to format evidence. So, our learning targets. I can find strong evidence that supports my claim. I can format my evidence with correct transitions and MLA in-text citations. Our agenda today is announcements, the lesson on formatting evidence. We're going to do a quizzes, and that's about formatting evidence. And then I'm going to give you the overview for your claim, your formative assessment, claim, evidence, and reasoning. And then we'll look at next steps. So that's what our agenda for today is. Here's my announcement. Everyone deserves help and support when they need it, and everyone can still be successful in English 9 for this semester. And I want you to remember, I'm here for you. Mrs. Tauschek is here for you always. We are only an email away. So now let's get started. As I said, there's a quiz at the end of this, so pay special attention. Oh, by the way, we didn't talk about this last week, but I'm looking for superstar students. And those superstar students are those students who participate by having their cameras on or participating by unmuting yourself or adding in the chat. And so the superstar students for each of the class periods, I will announce who they are. And those are the people whose names are going into the drawing for the McDonald's gift card, which I will be sending out at just before we go on break. So let's continue on. Did I miss something? Oh, yeah. When we include evidence in our writing, each piece of textual evidence needs the following. You need to have a transition.
Miss Fico, are you wanting to be presenting? Because you're not.
Oh. Why, thank you.
We start break on the 24th, so we still have like a half-day non-synchronous day, Fernando, on the 23rd. And on the 24th is your first official day back or of break, and then we come back on January 4th.
All righty, now that we got the important stuff out of the way and that you let me know I wasn't presenting, thank you very much. So here we go, formatting text rules. When we include evidence in our writing, each piece of textual evidence needs the following. You need a transition, and that's to introduce or present the evidence. You also need MLA in-text citation to show where you got it from. So let's move on and take a look at what this means to transition into evidence. We can't just plop evidence wherever we want it. We need to weave it into our writing. A transition is a technique you use to move from your own thoughts into your evidence. Here's an example. Notice what's in orange. For example, I can't believe I'm getting up in front of people and talking about personal stuff and liking it. Now, notice that the author's name is in parentheses as well as the page number. But the important piece here is the transition. We've transitioned into the evidence. Here are some strategies for transitioning into evidence. We have 4 of them. You can use a transitional word and it needs a comma after. Take a look. These, by the way, are choices. These are not all of them. There's some good choices. So for this, one of them would be firstly or secondly or lastly. Consequently, furthermore, additionally, notice there is a comma afterwards. Use a transitional phrase, needs the comma after. For example, for instance, in addition. Use a transitional, a full sentence, and then you need to have a colon. Furthermore, the author states, the author explains, the text implies. By the way, in this last column, there's an example that supports each one of these strategies. And then finally, the 4th strategy, using part of the sentence to flow into the evidence. So it's integration. You don't need punctuation before the evidence. So for example, it says the text clearly demonstrates that. The argument is shown by. So that's kind of like, that's like weaving the evidence into your sentence. So you don't need that punctuation to smoothly flow into the evidence. For this one, I want you to take a look over here at the example. Grimes wrote that Gloria has got a lot of heart coming back to school after having a baby. Take a look. It just flows so well, and you don't need punctuation. There are also more resources. You can open these up. We're not going to go through them, but I want you to see that there are resources that give you examples and how it connects. Okay? There's a lot here. You can even quiz yourself on it. Lots and lots of information here. Now, what does it mean to cite evidence in the text correctly? Well, when you cite evidence, you are telling your audience what source it came from and where it is located in that source. You know what that really does? It keeps the copyright police from knocking at your door, because now you're crediting the person specifically where it came from. This is done at the end of the sentence with parentheses, page number, and sometimes the author's last name. For example, now look what's in orange. I can't believe I'm getting up in front of people and talking about personal stuff and liking it. Now, we have the author's last name in the page number inside the parentheses. Are there any tips I can use to be successful? Well, tips for the author's last name. If you have stated your author already in your writing, you only need the page numbers in the parentheses. Take a look. Here's the author. Grimes wrote that Gloria has got a lot of heart coming back to school after having a baby. Because her name is listed right here, the author's last name is here. And by the way, notice that we're using her last name and not her first name. We always use last names. And then here's the page number. If you did not state your author previously in your writing, put the author's last name in parentheses. So it's the same evidence. And this time it starts off with the transitional phrase, for instance. And now, because the author's name wasn't stated previously, the author's name has to go inside the parentheses. One more tip for the page numbers. If you pulled your evidence from multiple pages, put a hyphen between those pages. And you can see that this quote came from pages 45 to 46. And there's a hyphen between the page numbers. Now, if you want to try to challenge yourself, try formatting dialogue. So let's just say that you've decided you're going to take some dialogue from the book as evidence, which is totally cool. But then the way that you cite it is that instead of using the double quotes, like this example, you're going to use, first you'll use an apostrophe, a single apostrophe, and then you're going to also add the quotation marks next to that single apostrophe. Remember, this is only for dialogue. And the other thing I'd like you to notice is this transitional phrase. For example, this is the dialogue from the book. And then, so it is apostrophe and then the quotation marks. And then finally, because we did not use the author's name in that sentence, we have to use it in the parentheses along with the page number. I know this is exciting stuff. This all comes from something called MLA, which is Modern Language Association. And believe it or not, it's a group of people. Honestly, it's a group of people who sit around a couple times a year and they look at English language and the writing. And that must be a really exciting meeting, because they say things like, well, should we have the period stay inside the parentheses or on the outside? And then they'll discuss that for days. Oh my gosh, poke myself in the with a fork in my eye. It would be the last thing I'd ever want to do.
Sometimes anyway, I think they just go like, well, what was the last thing we had them do? Let's change it.
Uh-huh, no kidding, right? All right, guys, so now you're going to practice. This is a quiz based on everything we just went through. And you're going to need to open a new tab. And I want you to go to joinmyquiz.com and enter this code. Now, we'll see when you pop up on the screen. I have to tell you a funny story. Last hour, the kids didn't tell me, but my quiz didn't load. Something about favorite teachers loaded, and I could not believe the kids, they were all getting it wrong. And I was like, because I can't see what you see. And at the end of the meet, then they're like, who is Twitty? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then they told me I gave them the wrong quiz. It was funny. So my first question is going to be, what questions do you have? Awesome. Anahi's in. Nicely done, Anahi. Come on, guys. Awesome. Tatiana's in. Good job, guys. Keep going. Who are we missing? Sam, are you in? We're still waiting for others. Sam, are you going to join us? I feel like we are set to go. All right, who's going to be the superstar winner of this quiz about the formatting? And tell me if this is not what it is. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Everybody will work through it on their own time. Excellent. Oscar's moving up. Good job, Lizzie's moving up. Brady's at the top. Tatiana and Hannah, what's going on? Osmar. Whoever me is, you're doing a great job. Lizzie's up. Well done. Keep going, guys. Good job, Drew. Good job, Hannah. Elena, Anthony, yay. Brady, moving up. Waiting for 3 more people. Ooh, Elena's on fire. Fernando and Ashton, we're waiting for you guys. Ashton moved up. All right. And here we have first, second, and third. Woohoo! Whoever me is, you're in first place. Elena and Brady. So these are the ones that we're going to have to work on. Now, I know that this was a really quick assessment of where from what we went through today. So obviously, we're going to continue to work on this citation of evidence, right? It's a skill we'll continue to practice. Love it, love it, love it. Nice. Oh, should we play again? Just kidding. All right, let's go on back over to the assignment. I know you're thinking, oh, great, another assignment. I'm already behind on the reading and everything else. So your assignment that you're going to be having is a formative assessment. Remember, assessments are worth 80% of your grade. I changed it. It was 90%. But that was kind of like killer for your whole grade. So this kind of evened it out a little bit more. But remember, this is where the bulk of your grade is coming from, because you're showing your proficiency in a skill. So I want to pop on over to Classroom and show you where you can find this. So on Classroom, I scroll down to the week of December 7th through the 11th. And right here, it says assignment. I'm relabeling how I do the postings so you can see more clearly what something is instead of having to guess. So this one says assignment. And when I click on it, I can go on this assignment. What I did also was I posted an audio explanation. So if you forget what this assignment, what you're supposed to do, you can listen to my directions right here. So the first thing that this is what you're getting assessed on, is how the quality of evidence that you're able to pull that answers a claim. This is a rubric, and this isn't the first time you've seen it. This rubric is what we've been using with all the practices. So notice that it starts off with a 0 and goes all the way to 4. 0 basically means you just didn't do the assignment, right? So that's 0 points. Not meeting expectations. Another thing that you should notice is that these clearly connect to each of the 3 gates that we've talked about. And it'll become more clear as I move through the rubric. So a 1, this is below grade level. The student attempted to choose evidence, but it is loosely related to the claim. That's below grade level. 2 points, or the number 2, is approaching grade level, and the difference is the evidence chosen may need to be better choice because it's lacking in either relevant information or it's not enough. Remember the 3 gates. Is it the best choice? Is it relevant? And is it enough? Those are our 3 gates, right? This is what you want to shoot for. Right here is a 3. The evidence chosen is a good choice and it supports the claim. However, there may be better evidence, more evidence needed, or more relative information. Again, the 3 gates. Is it the best? Is it enough? And is it relative? Does it relate to the claim? Okay, this is what you're shooting for, is this. Now, you could try to get the exceeds. And what does that look like? The evidence chosen is clearly the best choice from the excerpt that supports the claim. The evidence is enough to support the inference and only includes information relative to the claim. That's what we're shooting for, is the 3, but you might get a 4. Oh, and on this one, I always double what the rubric is. So this time your point value for the top would be 6. Now imagine if you were shooting to get the exceeds expectation, you'd have 2 extra points in your grade book. This would just like shoot your grade overall right through the roof because it's worth 80 points. So this is what you're shooting for, is this. But maybe you want to try to get to the exceeds expectations. So here's what you're going to be doing. You're writing a claim evidence reasoning paragraph answering the following prompt. Be sure to provide a quote or textual evidence to support your claim. You may use the following sentence starters if you would like, or you can write your own claim evidence reasoning paragraph. Here's the prompt. Is Wesley an inspiration or a punk, and how do you know? Now, Wesley's part can be found on pages 3 through 6. He was the first person that we learned about, the first character we learned about in the book. However, you are welcome to use textual evidence from another part of the book to support your claim, because maybe Tyrone talks about Wesley or refers to him. Maybe another character does. But the bulk of where you can find Wesley is on pages 3 through 6. And again, your claim is answering this question right here. Is Wesley an inspiration or a punk, and how do you know? Now here are the sentence starters. Wesley is an, and that's where you're going to either write inspiration or a punk, so you're making your claim. For example, this is where you're going to add textual evidence, meaning it's coming right from the text. This means that, so now you're adding in what that means, right? It's like not explaining your quote, but it's connecting it with your thinking. Another example is, so now we're asking for 2 pieces of evidence, right? So you're going to need another quote. This shows that, again, you explain it. You wrap it up with, all this proves that Wesley is either a punk or an inspiration, and this answer will be the same as what it was in the first spot. And then because, now this is where you're adding your reasoning. Remember, that's in your own words. So now you don't need to use the sentence starter, but you can use a sentence starter. Your grade won't be lower, you won't be looked down on if you use this to help you move through this paragraph, okay? It's there to help you if you want it, and you don't need it if you're somebody who would prefer to just write on your own. 1 paragraph is all that you're shooting for. Not more. I am going to pop back on over here. I want to get all this in, and then I'm going to ask for questions. So the learning targets, I can find strong evidence that supports my claim. You're going to show us that with your assessment that you're going to be doing. And then I can format my evidence with correct transitions and MLA in text citations. Now, you don't have to do that. It'd be great if you would try to use the MLA citation in your paragraph, but you're not getting graded on that. And we will continue to work on this learning target. So your next steps. If you did not during class, please complete. Well, we did complete the quiz. We did the finding, you're going to complete the finding evidence, that's that assessment that I just talked about. By the end of the week, you need to read through page 132. Now, for some of you, that's on the ouch list. For sure, by Thursday, I need you to be through page 107, because on Thursday, we're going to actually have a discussion about the book, something we haven't done yet. So you need to be through page 107 by Thursday. That is the goal. Oh, and nobody, well, I'm going to let you ask me questions now. What questions do you have about anything? The assignment, previous assignments, life in general? Put it in the chat or unmute. Thank you, Osmar.
So I want to know something.
Yeah.
What page are we supposed to be on in the book?
For today,
Yeah.
You were supposed to have read through page 107.
Okay.
So by the end of the week, you should be on, and when I say by the end of the week, I mean like before our next class, page 132. But for Thursday, for our discussion on Thursday, just have read through 107. Make sure that you've got that done. What other questions do you guys have? Arlette, what questions do you have? No questions? Christian, questions? No. Fernando, you're all about the dates, aren't you? Fernando?
21st, I believe. I believe it's the 21st of
January.
Yes.
Okay. All right, folks, since you seem to not have any questions, nobody asked me, like, when is this assignment due? And I purposely didn't tell you. Well, Ms. Vico, when is this assignment due? Well, thank you for asking, voice in the air at my house. It is due on Saturday. I'm trying to give you guys a little bit more time between these things, okay? Oh, one more thing I don't think I discussed in this class. Now, I really pride myself on having all of your grades up to date every single week. By Sunday, I usually have nothing left to grade. I want to show you something and then tell you why. Do you see all these numbers? That's 5, 10, 18, 35, 56, 66, 73, 74. 74 assignments in this class alone that I have to grade. But I'm going to tell you why I didn't get anything done this weekend. And it might sound like an excuse, but it is truly the why. This is the first weekend I haven't done any schoolwork, but my daughter came to visit for the weekend, and I have not seen her in months. I also won't see her for many more months. And I really needed that boost in my life to spend some time with one of my kids. And so I didn't do any schoolwork, but you know what? Now I am so stressed out, and like I am so far behind, I'm underwater. Does that feel like something that you guys have had in your lives, like with schoolwork? Who else is feeling like you're completely stressed out because you're underwater? Sam's like, yep. Yeah, Fernando, I know, right? Caroline's the same way. I totally get it, guys, because you know what? Life happens. and we need to still live life. Anyway, if you're struggling to get caught up, do the best you can. I set a goal for myself to try to have all of my stuff graded, but before Friday, because I know this weekend I'm going to have more grading to do, but I want to be caught up on last week by this Friday. So I don't know if setting a goal for yourself will work, but that's what I have to do, and I'm going to hopefully achieve my goal. Thanks for your patience and understanding, guys, for why your grades aren't up to date this week. I really appreciate it. Now, if nobody has any questions, remember, be through 107 for Thursday, because we're going to have a discussion day, which means you're going to have to talk or type. So that's what we'll be doing on Thursday, okay? So if you have no questions, you can leave, except I want to speak with Caroline and Hannah. So if everyone else wants to leave, you may. Arlette, do you want to hang out or do you need to get going? Ashton, do you need some help? Arlette, are you with us? Should we call 911? Will you be okay? I somehow sense